The credits were good to good, actually. That should have been my first warning. Standard dignitary protection, Commander Hayes had said, sliding the contract across his desk. Princess Valerie of the Thalzari Empire. Keep her breathing during the peace talks. Collect your fee. I'd done this dance before. Rich alien royalty. More concerned with their image than actual threats. Easy money for someone with my experience. 10 years of private security work had taught me that most high-value targets were just bored aristocrats looking for excitement. Was wrong about Princess Valerie from the moment her transport touched down. She emerged from the sleek, Thalzari vessel like liquid starlight given form. Her pale purple skin seemed to shimmer in the station's artificial lighting, and those blonde curls caught every photon as they cascaded over her shoulders. She moved with the fluid grace of someone born to command, her amber eyes taking in everything with sharp intelligence. "You must be my human guardian," she said, her accent carrying musical notes that made my chest tighten. Her voice held authority that brooked no argument, yet something else lingered beneath curiosity, perhaps, or assessment. Cale Thorne. "Your Highness, I'll be handling your security during. I did not ask for your credentials." She stepped closer, close enough that I caught her scent something like night-blooming flowers mixed with ozone. "I asked if you were mine." The possessive way she said, mine sent an unexpected shiver down my spine. "Professional distance?" I reminded myself. "Just another client." "I'm assigned to your protection detail, yes?" Her lips curved in what might have been amusement. "How... Diplomatic of you, Cale Thorne." She made my name sound like a melody. "With me, I wish to see these accommodations your people have prepared." The royal suite was impressive even by diplomatic standards. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the nebula beyond the station. While the main chamber easily rivaled any palace I'd seen, Valerie moved through the space like she was claiming territory, her fingers trailing over surfaces, testing furniture. "Adequate," she pronounced, though I caught the slight upturn of her lips that suggested approval. "Though I notice only one sleeping chamber, there's a security room adjacent." "No." The word cut through the air with royal finality. "That will not do." Kept my expression neutral, despite the way her amber eyes seemed to see straight through me. "Your Highness, I assure you the security arrangements are more than sufficient, are they?" She moved closer again, and I fought the urge to step back. "Tell me, Cale Thorne, how many principals have you lost?" "None." The answer came automatically, tinged with pride I couldn't quite suppress. "Impressive." She circled me slowly, and I felt like prey being evaluated by a very elegant predator. "And how many of those principals were Thalzari royalty? You'd be the first? Then you understand nothing of what true protection requires." She stopped directly in front of me, close enough that I could see flecks of gold in those amber eyes. "But you will learn. Tonight we dine with the other delegates. Tomorrow... Double quotes her smile was mysterious and slightly predatory. "Tomorrow, your real education begins." As she glided toward the sleeping chamber, I couldn't shake the feeling that I just walked into something far more complex than a simple protection assignment. The way she looked at me, the possessive language, the casual dismissal of standard protocols, none of it fit the profile of a typical diplomatic principal. But the credits were good. And I'd handled difficult clients before. How hard could one alien princess be? The formal banquet was a diplomatic minefield wrapped in silk and ceremony. I stayed close to Valerie's shoulder as she navigated conversations with delegates from a dozen species. Each exchange a careful dance of words and subtle power plays. She was magnificent, every inch the imperial princess. Commanding respect with nothing more than a lifted eyebrow or slight smile, but I noticed things others missed. The way her hand occasionally brushed mine when she gestured. How she positioned herself so I remained within arm's reach. The brief, heated glances she sent my way when she thought no one was watching. "You're quite the shadow, aren't you?" Ambassador Torvin from the Centauri Coalition had cornered me during a lull, following the princess like a loyal hound.
Out before
I could respond, Valerie appeared at my side, her presence suddenly charged with dangerous energy. "Ambassador Torvin." Her voice carried Arctic precision. How, ... Quaint that you compare my chosen protector to a domesticated animal. The temperature in our little corner seemed to drop several degrees. Torvin's blue skin paled further. Your Highness? I meant no. Of course you didn't. Her smile was sharp as a blade. Kale, we're leaving. She didn't wait for my response, simply turned and glided toward the exit. I followed, noting how other delegates stepped aside without being asked. The princess commanded space like gravity commanded orbits. That was unnecessary, I said once we reached the corridor. Was it? She paused mid-stride, turning to face me. He insulted you. He insulted my judgment in choosing you. I can handle a few insults, Your Highness, but I cannot. The intensity in her amber eyes caught me off guard. Do you understand so little of what this means? We'd reached her quarters. She palmed the entry sensor, then stood at the threshold, studying me with that same predatory assessment from earlier. Your duty ends here, she said finally. Good night, Kale Thorne. Started toward the security room, but her voice stopped. Me cold. Where are you going? To monitor the perimeter sensors. Standard protocol? No. The word carried absolute authority. Your duty is to guard me. That includes my sleep. You will share my bed. The world seemed to tilt slightly. Princess, that's not how humans do this. She tilted her head, those blonde curls catching the light. But it is how we do it. Among the Thalsari, a royal's sleeping space is sacred. Only those who have earned complete trust are permitted to share it. Appreciate the honor, but this is not a request. Her voice carried the weight of imperial command. You sleep beside me, or I will file a formal complaint of dereliction of duty. Your contract will be void, your reputation destroyed. My mouth went dry. She wasn't bluffing. I could see it in the set of her shoulders, the unwavering amber gaze. Don't understand the cultural significance, I admitted. Something in her expression softened slightly. In Thalsari tradition, sleep is when we are most vulnerable. To share a bed is to place your life in another's hands completely. It is ... intimate, yes, but not in the way humans think. It is about trust, about bonding. She stepped closer, and I caught that intoxicating scent again. When I choose a protector for my sleeping hours, I am saying I trust them with my dreams, my nightmares, my unconscious thoughts. It is the highest honor I can bestow, and if I refuse, her smile was sad now, and somehow that was worse than her anger. Then you prove you were never worthy of the trust I offered. I stood at a crossroads, professional protocol warring with something deeper curiosity, maybe, or the strange pull I'd felt since meeting her. One bed? I asked finally. One bed? You have my word as a princess of the Thalsari Empire, I will. Not compromise your human sensibilities. What I should have done was call Commander Hayes, request a transfer, walk away from the credits and the complications. Instead, I found myself nodding. Very well, Your Highness. Her smile was brilliant, transforming her entire face. Valari. When we share the sacred space of sleep, you may call me Valari. As she disappeared into the sleeping chamber to change, I wondered what exactly I'd just agreed to. The bed was enormous, easily large enough for two people to sleep without touching. Professional distance could be maintained, but as I heard the soft rustle of fabric from the other room, I suspected maintaining distance was going to be the least of my problems. The first night, I slept like a stature-edged alert, positioned as far from Valari as the bed's dimensions allowed. She, for her part, seemed to sleep deeply, though I caught her watching me once when I thought she was unconscious, amber eyes gleaming in the darkness. You barely slept, she observed the next morning, her voice carrying a hint of concern. I was maintaining vigilance. You were maintaining distance. She sat up, and I tried not to notice how the silky sleep garment clung to her curves. How? Her blonde hair was tousled from rest. This will not work if you treat my bed like a battlefield. The second night was marginally better. I managed a few hours of actual sleep, though every time she moved, every soft sigh or shift of position brought me back to full alertness. She seemed to sense my discomfort, keeping to her side of the massive bed. It was the third night when everything changed. Tell me about your scars, she said softly in the darkness. I'd been lying there, staring at the ceiling, hyper-aware of her presence beside me. What scars? The one on your shoulder? The smaller ones on your hands? You carry your history in? Your skin? Occupational hazards. That's not an answer. She shifted and I felt her gaze on me, though I couldn't see her clearly. I shared my bed with you, Kale. The least you can do is share your stories. There was something in her tone, not commanding this time, but almost vulnerable. I found myself turning toward her, able to make out her silhouette in the dim light. Shoulder was a pulse rifle burn. Corellian separatists, about 3 years ago. The client thought he could negotiate his way out of an ambush. In the hands, climbing gear failure. Had to improvise a rope from broken cable. I flexed my fingers unconsciously. Sometimes improvisation leaves marks. You've led a dangerous life. It pays well. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, is that all this is to you? Payment? The question caught me off guard. Should it be something else? I don't know. Her voice was barely a whisper. I've never shared my sleeping space with someone who wasn't family, I thought. I hoped it might mean something. The vulnerability in her words did something to my chest, made it tight and warm. Valari, do you know what my greatest fear is? She didn't wait for an answer? That I'll spend my entire life as a symbol, a political tool. That no one will ever see me as just ... me. I turned fully toward her then, propping myself on one elbow. In the darkness, she seemed smaller somehow, less the commanding princess, and more just a woman sharing her deepest worries. I see you, I said quietly. Do you? Her hand moved across the space between us, fingertips barely brushing mine. Or do you see your contract, your duty? The touch sent electricity up my arm. I see someone who defended me tonight, someone who trusts me. Enough to be vulnerable, and someone who's more beautiful than she has any right to be. The admission hung between us like a bridge I couldn't uncross, her fingers intertwined with mine, warm and sure. This is dangerous, she whispered. Yeah, my father would have you executed if he knew, probably. And yet you're still here. I brought our joined hands to my lips, pressing a soft kiss to her knuckles. I'm still here. She moved closer, close enough that I could feel her breath on my skin, see the gold flecks. In her amber eyes, Kale ... I know. This complicates everything. Everything, she agreed, but she didn't pull away. We stayed like that for a long time, hands clasped, breathing the same air, balanced on the edge of something that would change everything. When I finally felt her relax into sleep, her head pillowed on my shoulder, I realized I was in serious trouble. I wasn't just her protector anymore. I was falling for her, hard and fast and completely against every professional instinct I'd developed. And from the way she'd looked at me, the way she'd touched me, I suspected she was falling too. Dawn came too soon, bringing with it the return of reality, duty, and the dangerous knowledge that 3 nights of sharing a bed had fundamentally altered something between us. The attack came at 0300 station time. I woke to the soft whisper of the door sensor being overridden, a sound that shouldn't exist, not with the security protocols I'd installed, adrenaline flooding my system as I rolled from the bed. Reaching for the weapon, I kept close. Valerie, stay down, I whispered. But she was already moving, her royal training evident in how quickly she found cover behind the reinforced dresser. 3 figures in adaptive camouflage slipped through the doorway, weapons raised. Professional assassins, their movements too coordinated, too quiet for anything else. The first one never saw me coming. I took him down silently, the knife finding the gap in his armor with practiced precision. The second turned toward the sound, but Valerie threw a crystal ornament, the distraction giving me the opening I needed. The third was better, faster, more alert. His shot went wide as I dove, but the energy bolt singed the air where my head had been. He hit the floor hard, grappling for control of his weapon. Kale Valeri's warning came just as the assassin's backup blade swept toward my ribs. I caught his wrist, but he was strong, enhanced probably. The blade inched closer to my chest as we struggled. Then Valari was there, a heavy sculpture in her hands, bringing it down on the assassin's skull with lethal precision. Silence fell, broken only by our ragged breathing. "Are you hurt?" Checking her for injuries, my hands shaking with residual adrenaline. "No, She stopped, amber eyes wide as she took in the scene. "You're bleeding." I looked down. The assassin's blade had found its mark after all, leaving a shallow but bleeding cut across my ribs. "It's nothing. It's not nothing." Her voice carried a tremor I'd never heard before. "You could have died. You almost died protecting me. My job, is it?" She moved closer, her hands hovering over the wound. "Is that all this was? Your job?" The way she looked at me, fear, gratitude, and something deeper warring in her expression, broke something open in my chest. "No," I admitted. "It stopped being just a job days ago." She closed the distance between us, her hands framing my face. I was so frightened. When I saw that blade, I thought, I'm okay, this time. Her thumb traced my cheekbone. "But what about next time? What about when this assignment ends?" The question hung between us, heavy with implication. What happened when the peace talks concluded? When she returned to her empire and I moved on to the next contract? "I don't know," I whispered. "I do." Her voice carried that familiar royal authority, but underneath it, I heard something else: determination, hope, fear. Among my people, when someone risks their life to save another, when they share the sacred space of sleep, when they see beyond the title to the person beneath, that creates a bond, Valerie, a permanent bond. She stepped closer, her body pressing against mine. "In my culture, you would be mine. Completely, and I would be yours." The implications hit me like a ship hitting atmosphere. Marriage, commitment, a complete life change. That's not how I don't care how humans do it. Her lips were inches from mine now. I care about how we do it. When she kissed me, it was with the intensity of someone who'd almost lost everything. I tasted desperation, relief, and something that might have been love on her lips. My hands found her waist, pulling her closer, the professional distance I'd maintained crumbling completely. "This is insane," I murmured against her mouth. "Completely." She kissed me again, deeper. This time, "Do you care?" Looking into those amber eyes, feeling the warmth of her body against mine, knowing she'd just helped save both our lives, caring seemed like a luxury I couldn't afford. "No," I admitted, and kissed her back. We made love there in the aftermath. Of violence, desperate and tender, and completely unprofessional. She claimed me as thoroughly as I claimed her. Our bodies saying what words couldn't express. Afterward, as we lay tangled together, the weight of what we'd started settling over us like a blanket, she traced patterns on my chest. "The peace talks end in 3 days, she said quietly. "I know. My father expects me to return to Thalzari space, to fulfill my duty as a princess, and you will. Not alone." She looked up at me, amber eyes blazing with determination. "If you don't want me to." The choice stretched before me like a vast unknown. Everything I'd built, every plan I'd made, every assumption about my future, all of it, balanced against the woman in my arms and the impossible thing we'd found together. "What are you asking?" "I'm asking you to choose me. Choose us. Come with me to Thalzari space as my bonded mate, my equal, my partner in all things. Your father will never accept a human. My father will accept whoever I choose, or he will lose his daughter." Her voice carried absolute conviction. "The question is, will you choose me back?" I looked down at her, this incredible, impossible woman who'd turned my ordered world upside down in less than a week. The smart thing would be to finish the contract, collect my credits, move on to the next job. But as she waited for my answer, trust and hope shining in her eyes, I realized the smart thing was the last thing I wanted to do. The final attempt came during the treaty signing ceremony. I'd spent the morning coordinating with station security, every instinct screaming that the previous night's attack was just the opening move. 3 assassins don't work alone, and whoever wanted Veilari dead had resources, patience, and a very specific agenda. "You're thinking too hard," Valari murmured, as we entered the grand ceremonial hall. She looked radiant in formal Thalzari regalia-flowing robes that seemed to capture starlight, intricate jewelry that spoke of ancient power, every inch the imperial princess. "Someone wants to disrupt these talks," I replied, scanning the crowd of delegates. "Their security details, the handful of media representatives. Last night was personal. Today will be political, and you'll stop them." The certainty in her voice should have been comforting. Instead, it terrified me, because somewhere in the past week, protecting her had become about more than duty or credits. It had become about protecting the future we'd barely begun to imagine. The ceremony was beautiful speeches in a dozen languages, the signing of documents that would reshape several sectors of the galaxy, hope made manifest in carefully crafted diplomatic language. Valar played her part perfectly, the picture of royal grace and political acumen. But I watched the shadows, the exits, the faces in the crowd that didn't quite fit. The bomb was elegantly concealed, a miniaturized plasma charge built into one of the ceremonial pillars, small enough to escape detection, but powerful enough to vaporize the signing platform. I spotted it 30 seconds before detonation, recognizing the almost imperceptible energy signature. "Bomb!" I shouted, launching myself toward Valari. Chaos erupted. Security forces converged, delegates scattered, alarms blared. I wrapped my arms around Valari and dove behind the reinforced podium just as the world exploded in light and heat. The blast knocked me unconscious for precious seconds. I came to with debris raining down, smoke choking the air, and Valari's voice calling my name with desperate urgency. "I'm okay," I croaked, tasting blood. "You're not okay." She was kneeling beside me, her elegant robes torn, golden blood thalls, Ari blood seeping from a cut on her forehead. "You took most of the blast. Why would you do that?" "Because I love you." The words came out without conscious thought, driven by adrenaline and the stark realization that I'd almost lost her, almost lost us, almost lost everything that mattered. Her amber eyes went wide. "Kale, I love you," I repeated, struggling to sit up despite the ringing in my ears. "I love your strength, your intelligence, the way you see me as more than just a hired gun. I love how you make me want to be better than I am." Around us, emergency crews worked to clear the debris, but in that moment the chaos faded to background noise. There was only her, only us, only the truth I'd been afraid to voice. "You could have died," she whispered, "but I didn't. We didn't, and the next time, it's the next assassination attempt, the next bomb, the next threat." I reached for her hands, intertwining our fingers despite the pain in my ribs, and we face it together, as partners, as equals, as bonded mates. The Thalzari phrase carried weight. I was still learning to understand legal marriage, spiritual connection, political alliance, and personal commitment all wrapped into one concept: if you'll have me. Her smile was brilliant enough to power. "A small star. I have been trying to claim you since the moment we met, Kale Thorne. Did you truly not realize? I'm a little slow when it comes to alien courtship rituals. Then allow me to be perfectly clear." She leaned closer, her voice carrying the authority of royal decree. "I, Princess Valari of the Thalzari Empire, claim you as my bonded mate, my chosen partner, my equal in all things. I claim your strength, your loyalty, your heart." "And I claim yours," I replied, the words feeling both foreign and completely right. "All of it, forever." When she kissed me, it was with the passion of someone sealing a binding contract, making a promise that would reshape both our futures. Around us, the emergency crews worked. The political ramifications of the attack unfolded, the galaxy continued its complicated dance. But in that moment, covered in debris and blood, surrounded by chaos, I found the one thing I'd never been: looking for home. "Your father is going to hate me," I said eventually. "Probably." She helped me to my feet, her arm around my waist as much for support as for the simple pleasure of contact. "But he'll learn to respect you. They all will. And if they don't—" Her smile was sharp as a blade. every inch the imperial princess I'd first met. Then they'll learn to fear me. I am claiming what is mine, Kale. No one, not my father, not the Empire, not assassins or bombs or political necessity, will take you from me. The possessive way she said mine still sent shivers down my spine, but now I understood it completely. It wasn't about ownership. It was about choice, commitment. The decision to bind two lives together against whatever the universe might throw at them. So what happens now? I asked as medical teams finally reached us. Now, she tilted her head blonde curls catching the emergency lighting. Now, we go home. To Thalzari space. To my father's court. To a life neither of us planned, but both of us chose. Together. Together, she confirmed, sealing it with another kiss. As they loaded us onto medical gurneys, as the investigation began and the political implications started to unfold, I realized that the credits had never mattered. The assignment had ended the moment I'd agreed to share her bed, the moment I'd stopped seeing her as a contract and started seeing her as Valari. She'd been claiming me all along. I'd just been too professionally blind to realize I was already hers. The galaxy was about to get very interesting for a human security contractor and his alien princess. But as her hand found mine across the narrow space between gurneys, as those amber eyes promised adventures I couldn't even imagine, I discovered I was looking forward to every dangerous, complicated, impossible moment of it. After all, the best assignments were always the ones that changed everything.